Okay, here we go. So, Bezras Hashem, we're going to begin with Brachos, Masechet Brachos, which is the beginning, the first page of the oral law. And it begins like this. Me'amasai karin eshama ba'arazim. So the Mishnah here, it says right here that we're looking at, from when that is, what time does one say the Shema in the evening? So the first question is, why do we start with this Shas with this mitzvah? Why are we starting with this mitzvah? Okay, and there's also 6 orders to the Mishnah. This is Berachos, and really, this is the first mitzvah that we begin with because that is the first mitzvah a Jew does in his life. This is the first mitzvah a Jew does in his life. What do I mean? Because the first time you're obliged in the mitzvahs, obligated to do the mitzvah is when you're bar mitzvah age, which is the age of 13. This is the year of your life when the mitzvahs really begin, when you're responsible, and it actually begins in the nighttime. This is the first time we say the mitzvah is in the beginning of the evening. Okay, it's at nightfall. And at nightfall, because this is a biblical mitzvah, to say the Shema. So when do we say the Shema? The mitzvah says, the Mishnah says the answer. So it says, from when do we recite the Shema in the evenings? And it says, Misha'ah shehakohanim nichnasim lecho bis romosan. From the time that the Kohanim who were Tameh may enter and eat the teruma at nightfall. Okay? So when do we say the Shema? At the time that a Kohen who had become Tameh is not permitted to eat teruma. What does it say here? Until the first watch. It says, so until when does the time for the recitation of the evening Shema extend? Until the end of the first watch. The terms used in the Torah in Devarim 6:7 to indicate the time for recitation of the evening Shema. And it's when you lie down, which refers to the time in which individuals go to sleep. Therefore, the time of the recitation of the Shema is the first portion of the night. Okay, so yeah, it says, so when the Kohen, at the time the Kohanim who were Tameh entered to eat the teruma at nightfall. At a time the Kohen may enter to eat the teruma, the Kohen would be required to at least had to go to the mikvah, and after he goes to the mikvah, when the sun sets, the stars come out. 3 stars come out. And at that point, he's allowed to eat teruma. And that coincides with the same time the obligation to say the Shema, when the 3 stars come out at nightfall.
And they're not the large ones, the medium, small ones.
Right. Basically, when they first just begin to appear. And it's until the end of the first watch. It says here, so from the time the Kohanim, okay, and then it says, so, I'm gonna put on my glasses here, I can't read well. So, Hashmura Harishana, and one may recite the Shema until the end of the first watch. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, so the first watch we see on the next page of the daf, on Daf Gimel, Rabbi Eliezer tells us that the night is divided up into 3 watches, and the first watch ends 1/3 of the night. This is the first watch. So sunset, let's say, is around 6 p.m. and sunrise, we'll say, is at 6 a.m. So you have to wait until the stars come out. So let's say, for argument's sake, 72 minutes, you could begin saying the Shema, let's say, at 7:12. Okay? And let's say that's 12 hours a night. The first third would be 4 hours, from like 6, 7, 12 is the 72 minutes. 4 hours until 10 o'clock or so, 11. This would be the first watch of the night. And that's according to Rabbi Eliezer. And the question is the first clause from Rabbi Eliezer from when the Kohen can eat the truma, or as it says, it begins saying from the time the Kohen eat the tame, the truma at nightfall. This is when we recite the Shema. And then it says, and one may recite the Shema until the end of the first watch. I think I get it, yeah. And so the question is Rabbi Eliezer talking about the starting time of the Shema, or is he only referring to the end of the watch? Because this is a little bit of what we have to investigate here, because it just says from the time the Kohanim enter to eat, and then it says, and one may recite the Shema until the end of the first watch. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. So the question is he talking about the beginning or just the end of this clause, of this sentence, right? You guys following me?
Yep.
So this is important. And so it says until the end of the first watch. And so there is an Amud base, the next page, there is no less than 6 opinions when we come to the second half of the daf. There's no less than 6 opinions to when the beginning time of saying the Shema is. And there's a huge machlochet. So the sages say, no, you only have until Chatzot, which is midnight. This is the time you must, this is the time you can have the final say of the Shema until midnight halachic, 12 midnight. But let's see here. It says here, so yeah, it says v'chachamim omrim ad chatzot, but the sages say it may be recited until midnight. I think I gotta scroll down for you guys with the Gemara here. Let's see here. Maybe not too much. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, the rabbis say the time of the Shema is until evening, but Rabbi Gamaliel Omer says, Rabbi Gamaliel says, Ad sheyale amud hashachar. It may be recited until the light of dawn rises. Okay, so Gamaliel says no, until the morning pillar comes up. The light of dawn rises, and there is many opinions of what dawn is. Let's just say, for the sake of opinion, it's 72 minutes before the sun rises. So you have until dawn, because dawn will already be the next day. So you can't say the nighttime Shema once it's dawn, okay? Because this is like when the sun is beginning to rise up. So you really don't know exactly, you may not know exactly when to stop saying the Shema around dawn. It could be cloudy out, it may be dark, you never know, right? So we have 3 opinions. The first opinion is you have up to the first watch, and you have up to Chatzot. Rabbi Gamaliel says, yeah, you have until dawn. The Torah says when you lie down and when you get up. Okay, so when you lie down and when you get up. Lie down, nighttime Shema. You can say this nighttime Shema when you lie down. When you get up in the morning, Shema. What does it mean as you lie down? As you're going to sleep? As you're going to lie down, or does it mean the time when you're lying down? So what's the difference? This is the whole dispute in the Gemara. So now I'm just going to scroll down a bit more here. If you guys can see or can't see what I'm doing here, just let me know. I'm not too good at all this Zoom stuff here, but okay. So let's see here. The general time people go to sleep is when the 3 stars come out. At least we're talking in Talmudic times, when it's dark. Generally, about around 10 p.m., everyone has gone to bed. In the Talmudic times, there was no electricity. Not everyone had electricity, so you know you're not going to stay up too late. You're going to go to bed around 10 p.m. And so the other opinion is Rabbi Gamaliel says until morning, when morning comes up, when you're sleeping as you lie in the bed, which means anytime you get into bed, as long as you're lying in the bed. So what does Uchach B'cha mean? So there's three opinions here. Now, there is a story. Let's see if I'm right here. The story the Mishnah brings up, and it says, hold on, my reading glasses again. Ma'aseh uva'u v'nav mibeis hamishte. It happened that Rabban Gamaliel's son came home after midnight from a banquet. Amrulo. They said to Rabban Gamaliel, Lo karinu es Shema. We have not yet recited the Shema. May we recite it now? Amar lehem. He said to them, Im lo ala amud hashachar hayavin atem lichros. If the light of dawn has not yet risen, you are obligated to say the Shema. This is Rabban Gamaliel. So the other opinion of Rabban Gamaliel says until the morning comes up when you're sleeping as you lie in the bed, which means anytime you get in the bed, as long as you're lying in the bed, right? So he says until morning. Now, if we go back, we learned about the Kohen. You guys can hear me all right, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just let me know. So the Kohen, we learned about the Kohen when it says that when he goes in, when the time the Kohanim who were Tameh, they enter to eat the teruma at nightfall. Okay, so after a certain time, so the Kohanim also had to offer offerings, and there was offering that was to be eaten. And so that offering had to be eaten within the time frame. Once it passes the morning time, then it becomes nosar. Okay, it's forbidden to eat after that allotted time, morning time. Anything that's left over until dawn is called nosar. So, which is prohibited to eat by the punishment of kares. And dawn, it's really still dark. So, like I said, it could be cloudy. It could be cloudy. It's dark. You really don't really know when it's actually sunrise. So you could be thinking, oh, it's still dark. I have time, but really, this could be actually the time that the sun is really setting in, and you may be sitting there eating, and actually doing something that's prohibited, which requires lashes. The same thing with the Shema. You don't want to be saying the Shema at that time in case you actually underestimated or thought it was still evening, right? And so really, you should say it during Mariv. I mean, that's the permitted time to say Mariv is when you should say the Shema. This is what Rashi says. Because the three stars have appeared, Rashi says, why do we daven Mariv early? Why do we say Shema early? So that we say the words of Torah before the Amidah prayer. So the Gemara now asks the following questions. So now I'm just gonna skim it down. Any questions so far? Anything?
I have a thought that probably can't be answered, but should be pondered. If the Shema is supposed to be the last thing you say, but at midnight you're supposed to either be awake or wake up, mourn for the temple, read some Psalms, and then study oral law for a bit. How does that work?
So when the three stars appear, say that again for me. Sorry.
Okay, so at midnight, Jews normally mourn for the temple, read some Psalms, and then they study oral law after that. But if Shema is supposed to be the last thing that you say.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
well, I think not everybody does that, but I think like if you're a real Zadik and you're getting up at midnight and doing these things, it's definitely the Zedikim that may do this. I don't think it's commonly like practiced by everyone now. But if you were to do that, let's say you're not going to sleep yet, then while we're going to discuss
Yosef
the
is talking
halakha.
about
We
tikkun
haven't
has.
really, we haven't even discussed what is the ruling yet.
See,
Right.
yeah, because I study first thing in the morning before anybody's awake, usually around 6 a.m. And then usually around 12 at night, I like to read and learn and do stuff because, again, everybody's asleep and stuff. I don't normally go to bed till about 3 and get up around 6.
Yeah.
Well, I think the midnight is the cutoff time. You don't have to say at midnight is your last time to say it, right, Joseph?
So you think the midnight is the cutoff time?
Oh, I agree with that as
It's the
well.
cutoff time. Because
Well,
they decided at midnight because you could say all night long but the thing is many people would forget and then the day would come up and they didn't say it. So then the rabbis kind of said, no, we're gonna say midnight, that's it. Don't go past midnight because just in case people would forget and pass the time. Yeah, midnight is a fence, but it's not, you don't have to, oh, it's midnight, now I gotta say the Shema. It's your last chance.
yeah. Well, you're pretty much right, but at the same time, Rabban Gamaliel and the Chachamim, they're both right halakhically. Rabban Gamaliel isn't really wrong. So the cutoff at midnight is rabbinical law. But we're gonna see that one can say the Shema all the way even past midnight. And why is that?
Yes.
Because it's a biblical law. It's biblical. And this is the whole example of the Kohanim and the time that the offering can be eaten. The offering can be eaten, right? All through the night. Even the offering gets burnt up all through the night. And so, but this is what we're trying to find out. So really at the midnight, you're right. The midnight is the rabbinical cutoff because as we're going to see actually, as it will tell us why it is the cutoff. So let's see here. I think I'm going to go down a bit more. Yeah, as you see here, there's more description here in this Talmud here on the screen. Rabban Gamaliel cites several cases in support of his claim, such as the burning of the fats and limbs. This is what I was talking about. On the altar, due to the quantity of the offerings each day, the priests were often unable to complete the burning of all the fats and limbs, so they continued to burn into the night as it's written. This is the law of the burnt offering. So, yeah, you can read here. The ArtScroll doesn't really go into that, but that's basically what I was talking about all right here. You can read that even more if you want. This is on Safaria. So now it's going to go into the Gemara, and we're going to discuss this a bit more. Just moving my screen around here. So the Gemara now asks the question. So it says, Tana Heichachoi, to what is the Tana of our Mishnah referring to? It actually literally means, where is the Tana standing? Well, where in the Torah is an obligation to say the Shema? It's at night. And the next question is, why don't we start with the morning? Why are we starting
Because
with the
it
night?
follows well, first it says when you lie, and then when you wake,
Right.
and also it follows along with creation.
Exactly. So the question is, why are we talking about the order of the Korban Tamid, which is actually in the morning and ends late in the afternoon? So the Gemara will answer both questions with one swipe. And this is all refers to Devarim 6:7, which you just said. So basically, the Torah refers to lying down first, then in the morning. So if Hashem put it this way, we should follow it this way. This is the answer number one. The second answer is, like you just said, we learn from the creation of the world. So, yeah, so it says, am I on the right part with you guys here? I think I got to scroll down a bit more, right?
Hey, if you need to, I can share the screen and track with you while you're reading.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you want to do that,
Yeah.
what to do? I have to share. I have to share screen with you or something.
Yeah, let me. I think you got to enable it, but I'll do it so that you can.
Okay,
do
perfect.
Hang on, let me pull it up here.
Okay. Make co-host, right? By the way, Shabbat Shalom, JJ and Shlomo.
Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, now you have a co-host, Shlomo. I think you're able to do it. So yeah, the Tana. So the second question, yeah, has to come with what is it here? The creation of the world. The creation of the world. So yeah, it says, from when do we feel the obligation of reciting the Shema in the evening? And the two, and furthermore, Maishana Datane Avrit Beresha. Why does the Tana teach the law regarding the Shema of the evening first? Lisne de Shacharit Beresha. Let him teach the law regarding the Shema of the morning first. And it says Tana Achrachai. The Tana refers to the verse in the Torah that teaches the obligation of reciting the Shema twice daily. You see the Shachbacha Uchanecha, where it is written, and you shall speak of these matters when you lie down and when you rise. The Haki Katane, and this is what the Mishnah says: Man Hari'ah Shema Dish Hiva Ema. When is the time for reciting the Shema of lying down? Misha'a Shehakohanim Nichnasim Lecho Dish Masan. From the time the Kohanim who were Tame, so we see the Kohanim that enter to eat their teruma, and so since the first we learn about the Kohanim, and then it says ema, and if you prefer, say Yalif Mid Rayasol Shel Olam. The Tana should learn this order from the creation of the world. We see as it is written, Vahi Erev Vahi Boker, and there was evening and there was morning one day. And so the second answer we learn from the creation of the world, evening, and then there was morning. So the Gemara is going to ask a question on the second answer. If so, let's look at the next Mishnah later on. So later on in the Mishnah on 9b, it talks about the brachas, the blessings, right?
One before,
I'm
two
going
after
too
the
fast.
morning,
Am I
and
going
two
too fast
before
here?
and after.
Yeah, the creation of the world. Yeah, and then there was morning, there was evening, and there was morning one day. So if when we lie down and arise, what should be the order of the brachas? In the morning. So yeah, so now it says the Gemara asked this question. If so, ihachi, seifa tektani beshachad mivrech shatim lifnei leachas leachera. That said, so if so, then in the end of the Mishnah below, so we're talking about in the Mishnah later on in the Talmud Mishnah 9b, where it states in the morning one recites two blessings before the Shema and one blessing after it. And it says, U Erev Mevarech, Shatim Lefnea, Ushtaim Leachrea. In the evening, one recites two blessings before the Shema and two blessings after it. Lisne the Arvit Beresha. And there too, let the Tana teach the law regarding the Shema of the evening first. So, yeah, in the next Mishnah later on, Mishnah 9b, it talks about the brachas. So if we say when we lie down and we rise, what should be the order of the brachas? In the morning, one recites 2 blessings before the Shema and 1 after. So the next Mishnah is opposite. What's going on? This is what the Gemara is now talking about. It's going to another example where we say 2 brachas in the morning and then a bracha in the evening afterwards. It starts from the morning, then goes to the evening. Just like the Talmud, that there's 2 offerings, one in the morning and one in the late afternoon, right? So they're bringing an argument. What about the day? Well, the brachas of the Shema, this is the answer. They're not biblical. It's rabbinical. It's not in the Torah. So you guys understand what I'm saying? So the argument is it brings in the brachas to try to make a point. So
It was the sages that came up with it, not Hashem.
right, which Hashem agrees with still, right?
Well, he gives them authority, right? So you're supposed to do it anyways.
Exactly. Perfect. Thank God you said that. But so yeah, it's not biblical, it's rabbinical. But we go back to the default position. Like the Korban Talmud, we always start with the day and end with the night. So the brachas are rabbinical creation, and the creation of the world, we do everything night before day. But as the function of the normal world and everything, it goes from day to evening. So just like the Talmud offerings, but we follow the example of creation of the world. The brachas start at night because the evening always precedes the day. So, or the Shema. The Gemara responds only to the second answer, but not to the first, because creation is a general rule. So the Tana opens with the nighttime Shema. So the Mishnah 1 begins with the nighttime Shema. Mishnah 2, we will learn later on, it begins with the daytime Shema. So we're gonna, in the next section, we're gonna learn about the daytime Shema. Here we're talking about the evening Shema. And Mishnah 3 talks about the Berachos. Mishnah 2 talks about the daytime. So really, the following Mishnah is actually following what we're gonna learn about the daytime Shema. I hope everyone's following me here right now. You know, just reading through casually, you won't even catch this. I had to study this about 5 times in a row just to understand why they're bringing up the brachas. What are they talking about? And the daytime, what are they really trying to get at? So, and then why are they talking about a mission that comes later on with the brachos? And they're going to say that it follows the theme of the daytime Shema. So right now we're in the evening Shema. So to recap, according to the first answer, the nighttime Shema is said in the Torah before the daytime Shema. But when we get to the Mishnah of the brachas are not in the Torah. So I can go to the default and go to day before night. But according to the second answer that says no, we always do the night before the day. So why don't we say the brachas at night before the day as well? And the answer, 1, the first Mishnah begins at night, the second at daytime. While we're on the topic, the daytime Shema, we go on to the daytime brachas. That's really what's going on here. Then go on to the nighttime Shema. So let's go back to the beginning, the Mishnah, where we begin to say the Shema. What should have been the simple answer? Well, you don't have to actually go back there, Shlomo, just saying the main question is, when do we begin to say the Shema? And there could have been a simple answer for all this. When you see the 3 stars. That could have been the simple answer. So why talk about Kohanim that could eat teruma? Why not just a straight answer? And so now the Gemara says, it says, Amar Mar, the master said in the Mishnah, Misha'a shehakohanim niklasim lechol bishvomasan. From the time the Kohanim who were Tameh, they entered to eat the teruma. And it says, so the master said the time when the Kohen went to the mikvah, now the stars are out. When the stars come out, why not just say that? The Tana wishes to teach something that'll help us remember halakha. Okay, so there are actually certain types of tuma. A person who is zav or zava, they count 7 days clean. They go to the mikvah, and on the 7th day they wait for nightfall, and the next day they have to bring a korban for a kapara. So let's say you're a Kohen and you're a zav. You can't. You count the time. You can't eat teruma. Count 7 days. You go to the mikvah. The sun sets. You can eat the teruma. So you might think that because you have to bring the korban tomorrow in the morning, you're lacking kapara. So how can you eat the teruma? But the law is he can eat the teruma when the sun goes down, even though he doesn't have atonement. And just like the Shema, when the stars come out, the Kohen, regardless of the Tuma, he goes to the mikvah when the stars come out and he can eat. Okay, so it says here, yeah.
We waited till the next day for the offering, it would put everybody behind.
Yeah, he can, no, because the offering really starts in the morning. Well, yeah, but he's allowed, what am I saying here? To eat the teruma, yeah.
He's allowed to
But-
do, he's allowed to eat it and not have to wait until the next day, or it would
Right.
just mess up the time.
Right, exactly. And so he's able to do that at the nightfall. So yeah, it says Tana Pesach, the Tana opens with the ruling regarding the time for the evening Shema. The Hadar Tenei Bish Bishachrit. And then it teaches the ruling regarding the morning Shema in accordance with the cycle of creation Ad Dechatei Bish Bishachrit. Then, while he's still involved in the laws of mourning, Paresh Mile, De Shacharit, he explains the matters of the morning, namely the number of blessings in conjunction with the Shema, Dar Parish Mile Arvri. And then he explains these matters as they relate to the evening. So this is basically where I studied up to, because it's a lot of review. And the next time, if you guys enjoyed the study, we can go through all the way to 2B. But we can discuss questions and discuss right now. I'm going to stop the recording and we can discuss more about this. Let me just stop the recording here. If I can find the option here. How do I do this?